Hello, Yakri here with another Warframe video. So, I want to talk about the Torid. I should mention right off, I haven't finished my Torid. It needs, what, 2, 3 more Forma, probably. So it's probably a 3 or 4 Forma weapon. Mostly I plan to put probably more status chance on it, and more damage in general. So it's not nearly at its full potential the way I've built it yet. However, I would like to show off why it's a top tier weapon, because a lot of people seem to have like no idea what the hell to do with this thing. And it is a kind of a weird weapon. So let's just jump in here with all these bombards. And the reason the Torid is such a great weapon is because of its combination of high status, high damage, and it's an AoE effect, right? So you just slap a bunch of these down and fairly quickly, even with it not fully modded, I'm not really taking advantage of its potential for high status per second. It really quickly just deals with these level 105 bombards. I'll grab my Tonkor, which is actually fully formatted, in a second here, and show you how well it does against the bombards. And spoiler, it's not really as well, or it's close to it, but eh. And I mean, doing almost as good even as the Tonkor at something is a pretty great achievement even after its nerfs. See what I've got this. Well, bladed rounds is not ideal for this, so let's just replace that with something else. Heavy, not fully modded heavy. Oh, I can't even fit it in there. Damn it. Maybe I should just leave it. That's how I actually play the weapon normally anyway. Malignant Force. Yeah, there's a little bit more damage, right? Okay. Since we're gonna be looking at this before we've killed a lot of enemies. Incidentally, bladed rounds is a lot more lackluster in Simulacrum than it really is, which is, oh shit. I forgot to put Defy on. Okay. Which is obnoxious. Since I can't just kind of make some crappy enemies on the side. I guess I could kind of make some crappy enemies on the side to test it with. So let's just go look at this. Actually pretty good, but look at their health. It's not going down that much. It's because they have a shitload of armor, right? Now with corrosive projection 4x, this is going to be a lot more effective. It's really going to close the gap with the Torid. But keep in mind, the Torid doesn't have to be modded for corrosive. You can mod it according to the mission you're doing. You can have different useful status effects on there, like viral, for example, which is going to see a pretty solid increase in damage. Of course, I've modded the Tonkor for corrosive anyway, because corrosive damage type is just so overpowered that often, even with corrosive projection, you still want to use corrosive damage. On high status weapons, it can be a little bit more worth it to use something else, like Blast. For example, you could be using Blast on the Torid in order to lock down an area, right? You could use, like, add Firestorm, use Blast, and it's going to pretty much keep enemies permanently stunned in that area with the Blast procs all the time. You could do something else, like, let's see. I think you could squeeze electricity on there on the side for a little extra procs off to the and little AoE procs of damage, which is pretty useful. A variety of other things. But TLDR, it's a great solo weapon because you can stack a bunch of its projectiles on top of each other for super good status per second. There's only a few other weapons that can do equally good status, like the Supra can get, like, on a normal build for it, not even like status per second optimized, like 7 status procs per second or so. And then recently had an argument with someone on Reddit in which I learned that actually the Mutalist Cernos can get upwards of 25 status procs per second, which is nuts. Although I wouldn't actually mod it that way because it's overkill and it doesn't. It's kind of one of those situations where if your most useful thing for that is to reduce armor, and when you're reducing armor 25 times per second, you've just completely gone past the point where it's actually useful and into the realm of insanity when you could have more damage on your weapon. Yeah, that's pretty much the whole video here. To explain why the Torid is actually a pretty high tier weapon, and it's because of that status chance and its ability to deal with heavily armored high level enemies. Probably should have prepped an example of how to mod it to deal with enemies who have all their armor stripped off by corrosive projection, actually. I think the main thing is you'd want to just have a different status than corrosive. Any other toxic combo that is not corrosive. Radiation would be a really good proc to use, especially against infested. Viral is a really great proc to use because it effectively doubles the damage of the weapon when enemies are viral procced. And other than that, just add more damage on there. 50% status per second is probably fine. You can get a decent amount of benefit from more attack speed or more reload speed. I haven't modded it that way because I find it more useful to plant 1 or 2 shots down and then move around and aim somewhere else. Like, I'm not just pumping out the entire ammo clip into one spot. But if you're doing that, which is like the way you can get the highest possible DPS with this weapon, then attack speed and reload speed become more valuable than just high damage per tick. Yeah, that's all. Thank you very much for watching.